it's very exciting. So maybe for the benefit of those around us, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you got to. How did you end up in Malaysia running a bank called Alliance, and what sort of background or steps have you taken to get to this point of success in your life?
Well, success, I don't know. That's everybody measures their success the way that the way that they want, right? So I'm a Belgian-born Belgian. I like to say that because my wife is American-born Chinese, so she's ABC, I'm BBB.
And there are non-Belgian-born Belgians, I assume. Okay, never mind.
I'm sure there are. And I guess that life takes you different places. I studied very simple. I just studied business school in Belgium, and I was always more interested with marketing and things like that than finance. I actually desperately did not want to be a banker when I left business school. But then I was seduced by Unilever, which obviously is a marketing company. And since I tend to be reasonably competitive, it was very difficult to get into it, so I wanted to get into it. So then I became a product manager with Unilever, and I met this guy who became my mentor, for the rest of my professional life, basically. He was my first boss. I kind of like to say that I just went downhill from there because I started reporting directly to him, and then as our careers continued together, I reported to somebody who reported to him, and then reported to somebody who reported to him, and so on and so forth. So that was not a great, perhaps you'd say that's not a great trajectory. But anyway, so he left Unilever after a couple of years, and he said, do you want to talk to people here? And he had joined Citibank. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I was a little bit frustrated, so I said, sure, why not? Even though I had actually no desire particularly to be in banking, but it was marketing, so okay, marketing and banking. Okay.
What was the sort of negativity about banking that you disliked?
Boring. It's a very boring, banking is very boring, right? In fact, I didn't know anything about banking, to be honest, right? So the first interview I went to this guy, and I sort of pretended I knew what he was doing, which was not true. I embarrassed myself thoroughly in the interview, but and he actually explained to me how a credit card worked, because I just had a current account and a car loan. That was it, right? So I had no clue. But there was the attraction of working with this person who I really respected, and the fact that it was really an innovative, at that time, it was 1991, so Citibank, which was encountering a near-death experience at the time, Citibank tends to have near-death experiences on a regular basis, was trying to innovate retail banking, right, by introducing, touchscreen ATMs, 24-hour, phone banking. All these things were quite new. And I was hired to be part of that team, that marketing team, to develop these things. So I thought, no, that was pretty cool. And then 25 years later, I'm still in banking. Okay.
And what happened? I mean, you started in Belgium. Was it?
Yeah, but I wanted to escape Belgium. And two, I'm not like some people in this room, entrepreneur, which is something I regret. I mean, I wish I was one, but I'm probably too scared and too chicken to be an entrepreneur. But I am a self-starter. I like to invent my own universe. So, and I think these two things actually made me stick with Citi, because Citi is a company that's for self-starters, and it gives you the opportunity to travel, right? So the first opportunity I got, I left Belgium. I never went back.
Where did that take you?
It took me to France first, which was pretty cool, living in Paris in your 20s. Then to the US, because I thought, well, Citi is a US company, so I have to go to the US. And that wasn't so great. But then my mentor moved
Why wasn't it so great?
It wasn't great because If you want to create your own universe, the issue in the U.S. is that the city is so huge that unless you're very, very senior, you only manage a very, very tiny sliver. I always like to joke that there's one guy who does the left side of the brochure and one guy who does the right side of the brochure and one guy who decides where the fold goes, right? So that wasn't for me because it's just not very stimulating. So my mentor left Citibank, and it was still a bank, and he said, how would you like to manage a retail bank in Indonesia? And I was like 31 years old. Like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I packed up my bags. I'd been dating my girlfriend for 3 weeks, and I told her, but I'm lucky. I'm lucky she was American-born Chinese, so she understood career, right? So she let me, up and leave. I was in Chicago at the time. Up and leave to Jakarta. And then I ended up proposing in London, so we met up in London, kind of halfway. And then, so the rest is personal history, okay. Right? And then she joined me in Asia and so on and so forth. But that was great. That was fantastic.
So what happened in Indonesia? I mean, I'm sure it would have been challenging to move.
It was an interesting time because I landed in Jakarta in March 1998. So if you guys know or remember history, in May 1998, Suharto fell, and there were riots, and I was in the office when the whole crowd went by and just threw rocks at the office and all that stuff. But it was great because actually, no, it was because it was one. If you have the opportunity as a young guy to actually manage and shape something, that's fantastic, right? And then you make your own. I mean, I guess the story of my life is I like making my own thing, so my own life. So you had a turmoil situation that was actually quite interesting for a foreign bank in Indonesia, and so the ability at the same time, golden opportunity is that headquarters had decided we should move to a new IT system. But at the time, being very far-flung province, then you can decide how you're going to shape this IT system to actually serve the customers and do some cool stuff in innovation, right? So that was perfect. Actually, it was a fantastic experience. So we set up, the phone banking unit. We automated some stuff that was being done in branches, and it was good. It was nice. And the business did actually fairly well for a foreign bank in Indonesia at the time.
That was not Citi though, right?
That was not Citi. That was ABN AMRO at the time. That small window in time where ABN AMRO decided that they wanted to be in retail banking until they decided they didn't want to be in retail banking. But that's fine. I mean, that's a great learning ground. And yeah, so and from there, I rejoined Citi in 2001 for 13 years, I guess, right?
Where did that take? Also in Indonesia, or?
No, that took me. I went from Indonesia to Singapore, then to Hong Kong, and then back to Singapore with Citi, right, for a few years. And then, as my career progressed with Citi, I was made the country manager for a consumer business in Russia. Actually, it was very interesting because the guy called me, and I was in Singapore. I was very happy in Singapore. It was great managing the retail business, Citi's retail business in Singapore. It was a lot of fun. It was really fantastic. We had a great culture of if every month we achieved the target, we'd just have a big party, and there was lots of parties. So, anyways, I get this call, and this guy is an Englishman. So forgive me for this, right? But there's a. We thought you'd manage Poland. Okay, fine. Great. So I tell my wife, we're going to Poland. She's like, okay. No, sorry. No, I call my mentor first, and I say, well, I'm having a great time in Singapore, and these guys are telling me I have to go to Poland, or I should go to Poland and be the country manager. And I say, I'm not sure because I'm really, quite happy in Singapore. He says, you're an idiot if you don't go to Poland. I'm like, okay, fine. So I hung up the phone. It's okay. I won't be an idiot. I'll go to Poland. So, and then I'm walking down the street after telling my wife we're going to Poland. I was just downstairs, just walking in the street, and the phone rings again, and the guy says, how about Russia? So I was like, okay, cool. I actually was much more happy with Russia than Poland, because Russia is kind of a, or was at the time, kind of an open canvas, right? It's something, and also all the historical.
Was this the late 90s? Or?
That was 2006.
2006.
And it was, and it's a place conjures up a lot of history. I love history, right? And I started immediately dreaming. I have some old astrophysicists, and I'll stick them in a room, and we'll figure out stuff. And it didn't quite. They were astrophysicists, by the way, but they're quite young, and very ambitious and very focused on money. But that's a different thing. And so I went back upstairs, and I told my wife, it's not Poland, it's Russia. So she wasn't so happy about it, because Poland was EU, and kind of organized, and Russia was kind of, and correctly so, was kind of wild. So we ended up in Russia, and then from Russia we went to Western Europe, and then we came back to the region, basically.
So what was some of your challenge? I mean, you came back to Korea right after that?
Oh yeah, Korea was Korea is not quite on the same planet as everybody else, so it's a bit different. Yeah.
Why?
It's different because it's just. I mean, this is the only time in my life, because I lived in many countries. It's the only time in my life where I felt, wow, this is different. Because I think generally things are not that different. People are motivated by the same things. But, everybody, people say Asia is face, right? But everybody wants face, right? Everybody wants recognition. Everybody likes to have some development. Everybody likes to do well. Who likes to do badly, right? I mean, it's not there, right? Who likes to have turmoil and war when they can have peace and prosperity and be with their families, right? Pretty obvious. But Korea, completely different, right? Because they have this very, very regimented society, and they have huge hang-ups, things that really, like nowhere else, like hierarchy, age, the unions, a lot of fun. So the first time I came to Korea, actually, to manage, is our biggest business, consumer business outside of the U.S., actually, in Mexico, is Korea. The first time I came, I was greeted by these union guys in bandanas and placards saying, go home, we don't want you here, you're not welcome, we hate you, you don't do anything, you're a bad foreigner, whatever. So they ended up becoming.
And they were all in Korean, right? So you didn't understand.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. No. They made the effort, because they're very smart people. So they wrote it in English so I could understand how bad it was. But they would refuse to speak in English. Of course, you had to speak Korean with interpreter. No, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. So, and but it was challenging, and actually I became friends with some of those union guys. Because they have a very, very strange thing going on. Sorry, maybe it's not the topic here, but think about it. If you're educated in your childhood to respect authority and to respect age and all these kinds of things, but as a union person, you are a professional rebel, right? So how do you become a professional rebel inside a society that does not like rebellion, likes order, hierarchy, respect of age, tradition, all these things, right? Very, very complicated. Actually, I felt really bad for these guys, even though they were on the other side of the table yelling at me and telling me, you don't want you here, and we almost came to blows, by the way, but I still felt for them. Because, so, it's exemplified, ironically, so when I came to Korea, they were going to elect the union representatives of the company. And they had 3 unions fighting. And of course we got the crazies, right? So the crazies got elected. And the chief crazy comes up on stage for the inauguration. And the whole management had to sit on the stage, right? And so this guy turns around to management, bows, because that's what they do. And then he turned around again and started speaking. And he said that, if you close one branch, it's a declaration of war, and we will have you, and we will, it will be mayhem, violence, and all these things. Finishes the speech, turns around, bows. Right? So that's the really, really tough. That's why Korea is very, very special, right? Very special. So it's hard to live with contradictions like that, right?
Yeah. So let me ask you. I mean, you've worked in so many countries. Experienced so many different things. If one of our businesses wanted to expand out to some of these different countries out there, what sort of advice would you give to us, as we try to scale and grow our businesses?
Well, I think that it's always good to have a very strong local person where you want to expand, because obviously they will have huge advantages, right? They'll have contacts, they'll have network, they'll know the landscape, they'll know the place. So I think that's indispensable, right? I think you do your homework. You try to figure out whether you really have an opportunity. You try to understand who you compete with. And you try to understand whether, I'm a strong believer in research. You try to understand whether there is in fact demand for what you are trying to sell. Because if you might think you're great, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is, do your prospective clients think that you're great, right? In fact, I think that's one of the big lessons for me is your opinion doesn't really matter. Your opinion is not terribly interesting. Beyond the fact that you have a dream and you want to do something, it's not your opinion that matters. What matters is the opinion of people who want to work with you, or people who want to buy from you, or people who want to,
the 6 deadly blindfolds,
right?
if you leave them on, will get you into trouble every single time. So what we talked about today
is whatever it is. It's an engine to get you started, but that doesn't matter that much, right?
Well, thank you so much, Joel. It was fantastic having a
Right.
chat with you. And feel free to continue to raise